Namaste everyone. Thank you for watching this video. So this video is I've titled this video as Astro Tales. Okay. So I'll actually deal about how the planets got the order that we know, right? From we start the order from Sunday, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So just try to look at the mythological part of this order. Anyways, how the planets are ordered, I have actually explained in my second class on Vedic Astrology Foundational Basic course, and that course is free for all to join. And if anyone wants to join that course, they are of course free to follow the WhatsApp link below in the description box. Okay. So anyways, so one way in which deep knowledge is imparted to students of astrology is through observations and interpretations, which are stored in planetary stories and myths. Okay. So, a part of the sadhana of Jyotish is to learn these myths and their cosmological impact. Okay. So when these stories are well heard and digested, these stories help to integrate the tenets of Jyotish into the consciousness of the student. Okay. And this in turn makes the model of reality, which is Jyotish, become vividly real and solid. Okay. And in my personal experience, there is no doubt, at least for me, that the best way to learn Jyotish is to hear the teaching stories at the feet of your guru. Okay. But because the tales themselves are so alive, they can actually speak softly to those who listen to them mindfully. Okay. So if you listen to these tales with an open mind, they'll still do the job even if you have no guru, okay, to explain you the metaphors behind these spiritual tales. Okay. So as I said, this video is on the story of how the 12 rashis, or the constellations of the zodiac, got their planetary lords. Okay. And this astro myth, I'm calling it as an astro myth, of course. So this astro myth conveys the order of the rulerships of the constellations in a way that it is not quickly forgotten. Okay. It relates the planets to their internal correlates. Okay. It summarizes the personalities of the planets, and also it includes some astronomical knowledge. So all in a package that is actually ear friendly and much easier on the mind than a mere memorization. Okay, we know that we have memorized this order, to this weekday order, but it would be very interesting to see how we can actually derive that. Okay. And this particular legend, it appears nowhere in classical literature. Okay. It has just been, this tale is just preserved solely by being transmitted from one generation to the next. Okay. So there is no astrological basis of this tale. Okay. So what happened was, just to take you just to make you take a deep dive into mythology. Okay. So in the beginning, there were the sun and moon. So we know that the sun and moon are the king and queen of heaven. And being absolute monarchs, right, they rule the constellations of Leo and Cancer. Okay. Now Mercury, who is the ruler of communication, when he saw the sun and the moon owning everything, he decided to ask for some land in the zodiac for himself. Okay. And the sun, being the king, being the father figure, the sun obviously is very magnanimous naturally. Okay. And he said that, okay, Mercury, you may take the possession of Virgo, which is just next to mine. That means which is just next to my area of Leo. Now Mercury, we know that Mercury is a dual planet. Okay, he is a master of duplicity who has a forked tongue. So because he found it so easy to get land from the sun, so he waited till night. Okay, and then he told Moon, who is of course the queen of the night, that oh queen, the sun has given me a plot. Are you actually not giving me one? Okay. Now, astrologically, the sun is the soul, right? And the moon is the emotional mind. So this mind is insecure, isn't it? This mind is insecure because it has no independent light of its own. It only reflects the soul. And because it is insecure, the mind is always, it's always trying to aggrandize itself. Okay. And what it does, because as a part of this process of aggrandization, it often tries to duplicate processes which are part of the life of the soul. Okay, so for example, we might have had our mind tell us that we might have, at one point of time, our mind has frequently tried to convince itself that it might live forever. That is the reason people worry about the death of everyone around them except their own death. Okay, so what the moon replied to Mercury was that, since the sun has given you a plot next to mine, you can again take a plot which is next to mine. So the plot next to Leo was it was Virgo, and the plot just before Cancer is Gemini. Okay, so what happened is that in this way, Mercury, which of course represents the intellect, which of course represents the thinking mind, he gained possession of Virgo and Gemini. Okay, now Venus, who actually represents desire, okay, Venus saw what Mercury, that means the thinking mind, has done, and made the same request. Okay, and the Sun, who is the epitome of honesty, who would not give away the same space twice, it said that, since I promised the space next to me to Mercury, you may have the next space, which is actually Libra. Okay, and Venus did the same thing as Mercury. He repeated his desire to the moon, and he obtained Taurus, which was nearby Gemini. Okay, so seeing what desire or Venus had done, now it was time for action or Mars to do the same. And by doing the same thing, Mars obtained Scorpio and Aries from the Sun and Moon respectively. And finally, there was also a request from Jupiter, who is a personification of wisdom, and that gave him Sagittarius and Pisces. And even Saturn got the news that everyone is taking 2 plots of land from the Sun and the Moon, right? So Saturn, who is of course slow to catch up and is always the last to know, and Saturn, it represents renunciation. So because he represents renunciation, he is a personification of renunciation. He got what was left. He got what was left on both sides, which is Capricorn and Aquarius. Okay, so this is the order. This is the order of the of the planets as rulers of the constellation. Okay, and this order actually astronomically, it reflects the distances from the various planets to the Sun. Okay, so Mercury, we know, is the closest planet, followed by Venus, then Mars, Jupiter, and finally Saturn. Okay, so we are not counting the Earth because we know that the Earth is the frame of reference for us in Vedic astrology. Okay, and the Sun's constellation follows the natural direction of the constellation order, while the Moon's constellation follows the reverse direction. So this is this is very, very important to understand. Okay, now the real beauty of this story is that this order also reflects the evolution of embodied consciousness. Okay, and where does this consciousness arise? It arises from the soul, and it is experienced first in the emotional mind. Okay, so as objective thought gradually develops, the thinking mind also develops, right? And the more the mind thinks, the more it desires. Okay, so desires lead to action, and in order to actualize those desires, and from action there comes wisdom. Okay, and from wisdom one learns the beneficial and detrimental results of good and bad actions. Okay, and then when wisdom finally matures, what happens is renunciation becomes inevitable, because now you have become satisfied with what has been bestowed upon you by nature. Okay, so you are very happy with whatever you have with you. So this state in Sanskrit is known as uchishta, right? So the same life dramas that are acted out on earth, they also appear symbolized in the skies, as they say, as above, so below. Okay, anyway, so that was my way of telling you a myth, okay, as an astro tale. Maybe you can come up with something else. Let me know in the comment section. Okay, subscribe to this channel, like the content, and please join the free class on Vedic astrology that I'm conducting every Sunday. It is titled as Vedic Astrology Foundation. So I'll put the link in the description box below. All right, so I'll see you soon in the next video. Thank you so much. Namaste. Om Gurave Namaha.